You're listening to First Paso. Because sometimes you simply need someone to help you take that first paso.
Hello and welcome to First Paso, a show where we learn together how to take that first paso toward becoming the best versions of ourselves. My name is Candace, and guys, my birthday is next Thursday, and I'm not sure how I feel about it right now. I think it's because I just came back from a trip to Oregon, my first time in Oregon. Everything leading up to that trip that could have gone wrong went wrong, but once I got there, it was great. I was actually preaching at a Christian boarding school in Oregon, and I am still on a high from that moment. So I kind of just put my birthday off to the side. And now that I'm back and it's been a few days since I've returned from that trip, I'm getting reacclimated with the fact that my birthday is in a little over a week. And I don't really have anything planned other than the birthday list that I have in the show notes. So if you want to bless me with that, that'd be great. Anything from the list, I would love. Anything that you want to share on social media, maybe hashtag Happy Birthday Candace posts. I would love that. I also said I was going to do something for my birthday, and I'm pretty sure I am. I just haven't planned anything, but by God's grace, my friends have decided to do something. So we'll see. I have no idea. But other than planning a birthday dinner with my family and some of my friends, I haven't planned anything else. And of course, planning things to celebrate myself still make me uncomfortable. So I'll let you know probably in March what ends up happening. And maybe next Wednesday, I'll be a little bit more excited about my birthday coming. But right now, I think I just poured so much into the school in Oregon that I just kind of put my thoughts on my 35th birthday on hold. So that's okay. It's fine. You can still bless me with a gift and happy birthday messages. I'd love that. And maybe that'll also help me get my spirits back up about celebrating my birthday. With that being said, I really wanted to talk about the need to have people in your life that can walk with you and encourage you while you're in transition seasons. This has actually been really heavy in my life right now. And I was just talking to my best friend about this today. We've actually been talking about it a lot together. The reason why I want to talk about this is because I have spent so much of my life doing life by myself. And when I say that, I don't mean that I didn't have people that I relied on or talked to about certain things. I was just raised to keep a lot of things to myself and to not share the details of certain things. And I think a lot of us were actually raised to do that. It's that what goes on in this house stays in this house mentality. Or if you share too much, something bad will happen and you just need to keep all the bad things about yourself to yourself, or all the good things that are happening in your life to yourself in case someone's wishing evil upon you. All sorts of things that we were taught that basically summed up a way to just kind of be isolated and stay surface with most people. And I'm learning in real time how unhelpful that messaging is and has always been, but we've just learned how to acclimate to it because that's what we were taught, and that's what our parents were taught, and that's what their parents were taught, etc., etc. So I want to talk about this, especially in a season where people are trying new things. We're seeing people leave their 9-to-5s more and more since the pandemic. It's like everyone wants to become an entrepreneur. There's also people who are trying to just shift how they think, how they process the world around them. And some people are trying to do this alone or by just watching videos on YouTube or watching TikToks of people's opinions and, hey, even listening to a podcast like mine to get information. But even though that stuff is really helpful, in fact, it's stuff that I did and have done for decades, just trying to improve myself and understand how I can grow and learn within whatever season I'm in without having to share the details with anyone in particular. I think we're in a season now where people are recognizing how crucial it is to have someone in their life. But I think we're standing against the tension of what we were taught to do and what we feel that we actually need. I'm so glad that there is this move toward mental health in that people are saying, you need to go see a therapist to talk through things and to figure out what's going on and break it down and have someone who's outside of the situation to help you navigate it from a clinical perspective. And listen, nothing against therapists. I am a psychiatrist's daughter. I'm pro mental health through and through. I'm also pro healthy community, and I don't consider our professional guides, our mentors per se, as necessarily being our community. They can be. Sometimes those people become our friends and our confidants, but usually that doesn't happen. And oftentimes in a clinical setting, they highly recommend that they don't become friends, which I have my own thoughts on whether or not that's necessary or not, depending on the situation. But all that aside, I genuinely think that we need healthy people in our lives. We need people that we can talk things through with that can be an outside voice, but also deeply in our lives. I don't think every single person that helps us needs to be of a removed sense of connection with us, that they don't know the people in our lives, that they don't know all the details other than what we tell them, and they write notes on it, and then they clinically diagnose us with assignments and ADHD or whatever, right? Like, I don't think that we have to go that route. I think we can actually have people in our lives that have nothing to do with coaching, mentoring, psychiatry, therapy, any of those arenas that are more on the professional side that can just walk through life with us. The reason why I say that is because when we're transitioning from a point A to a point B, all those messy moves between those points can leave us teeter-tottering between what was, what is, and what is to come, especially between the what was and what is, because we actually have a familiarity with the what was. The what is to come is so open-ended in a lot of ways, even when we know where we're going, that we can only kind of assume based on the what was. So now we're navigating these in betweens of the present, and we're trying to take things that we learned from before, apply them in the present, and also see what doesn't serve us that maybe did in the past, or maybe we thought they did in the past, but really shouldn't have been a part of our lives at all. And we need to extrapolate what would be beneficial in this moment. There's also the struggle of those mental pathways that we've built over time of what we believe, how we believe it, why we believe it, what circumstances led to us believing these things, being so ingrained in us that when we're now transitioning and our mindset actually has to shift, those pathways need to be set aside and we need to try to make new pathways. It is challenging when we don't have someone outside of us that is encouraging us, that is reminding us of what our new goals are, who are voices of reason when our minds want to go back to the default settings, even when we ourselves aren't trying to go back to the default settings, right? So I'll give you an example. You guys know I love talking about the book of Exodus in the Bible and how the Israelites were taken out of Egypt by God and they were being taken to the promised land. They knew Egypt. They are currently getting acquainted with God in the wilderness, and they're being told that their future lies in the promised land flowing of milk and honey. Now, they often went through these loops of remember when, and a lot of the remember whens in the moments that they were experiencing those remember whens in real time, like those remember whens were their present day. It was filled with abuse. It was filled with toxic ideologies. It was filled with starvation. It was filled with just very detrimental, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, information and treatment that now in the wilderness, because they're transitioning into a new space through a new means that they've not experienced before, they are now glamorizing the pain and the destructive behaviors that they learned because they're struggling in their present. Now, that's a pretty human thing to do when we are encountering a new thing. And that new thing could be better. It could even be neutral. But if we're coming from a season that maybe was actually very toxic or not helpful, because we're struggling in the present, our beings want to just default to a glamorized version of just what we're comfortable with. We would rather be comfortable in something that doesn't serve us anymore than slightly uncomfortable in what we're learning in the case that this newness does actually serve us. And I'm going to put out there that every season actually does serve us, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because, like we said last time, we're always given an opportunity to learn something, whether it's about a circumstance, whether it's about our personhood, about how we think, how we operate. And it gives us opportunities to be honest with ourselves. It's easier, I think, though, to be honest with yourself in those moments when you have people around you who are healthy and able to see what's going on. The Israelites really struggled with this because they were all traumatized in the same scenario. And one would share a narrative and they're like, yeah, I agree. I'm remembering it just like you are. And it was like they just forgot that they were all abused together. And it took people outside of them who weren't abused, like Moses, to tell them, like, hey, we're moving this way. We're following the God of the universe. He's trying to give us a new thing. Why don't we be patient? He'd have to go to God and vouch for them and be like, hey, God, I know they're like complaining and they're not really transitioning well. Can you continue to extend grace to them, extend mercy to them while they're processing everything? And of course, God did for 40 years. So having someone outside of you, having multiple people outside of you who can see that you're struggling, maybe, but you're also trying is so helpful, especially if you're trying to be intentional in your transition seasons. Jonelle is that person in my life right now. Jonelle is, as you heard in her episode previously, if you have, highly recommend going back if you haven't heard her 2-part episode. She's going through her own transitions. And because she is being intentional about where she's going, what she needs, why she needs it, being honest with where she used to be, how she used to think, and wanting to face those abilities to keep going back to her old self and then remind herself that she's not doing that anymore. She's not trying to think like that anymore. Having someone like her in my life is great because I'm actively doing the same thing. I am actively trying to walk in a newness, walk in new mindsets, and assess how I used to think, how those previous thoughts are still showing up today, which ones are, which ones have I overcome and have grown into better thinking patterns that serve me better in this season and hopefully in the seasons to come by God's grace, that I can now have someone in my life who is in a similar situation, even if it's not the exact scenario, but the understanding that I'm in transition, she's in transition, and we are trying to learn and grow, and we're leaning on each other to do that. That actually requires vulnerability. It requires a vulnerability that we didn't have before in our lives when we never knew each other with other people. But there are ways that we were kind of hiding ourselves from being able to share what route we were trying to get to. So, that type of vulnerability, I can't even begin to explain to you how much I have seen myself grow, and even seen myself grow in ways that people closest to me have noticed, and some people closest to me haven't noticed and don't even believe is real. And this is something I need to say about growth and transition. This is not an easy one to say, but it is a reality for a lot of us. Many of us are growing, we are evolving, we are building community to help us continue growing. Or maybe we haven't built that community, but we are actively seeking out people that we can grow and transition with together through whatever, a mindset, a professional career shift, a personal life experience, whatever those transitions are, we're wanting to find like minded people to walk through these seasons with together. Unfortunately, as we are growing, as we are evolving, as we are becoming better versions of ourselves, there are people in our lives who prefer to see us the way that they've always seen us, that makes them feel better about themselves or makes them feel like you can't change. And this is really hard, especially if these are people that you love a lot, that you would hope that they saw that you were flourishing and changing and becoming a better version of yourself. But unfortunately, that's not the case. The reason why I bring this up is because I don't want us to be hindered by people's preferred versions of ourselves in their mind, and for us to stay focused on the trajectory that we're walking on. This also, I think, is where healthy community comes in, because healthy community can remind us that when people who want to keep bringing up who we used to be or who they thought we were based on their own preferred view of us that maybe we never were, whatever image of us they want to keep in their mind is a them problem. That is all for them to navigate. And there are people in our lives that see us flourishing, see us evolving, are excited for our transformation, are excited to see us shift in our careers, are excited to see us shift in how we stand up for ourselves, are excited to see us transition in seeing ourselves in a more positive light than a self deprecating darkness. There are people that see it. They continue to want to see the growth. They are encouraging of that growth and they want to be there with us, whether it's through conversation, just knowing, hey, I'm thinking of you, I'm praying for you, I'm cheering you on and what you're doing. I see you. I encourage you, keep pressing forward. Here's a quote, here's a Bible verse, here's some words of encouragement from me personally, and just know that like you got this and I'm in your corner. Like there are already those people, and I don't want us to get so fixated on the one or two or however many people that have been stuck in whatever image they have of us. I don't want that to be our main focus. We can grieve that. We can be upset about it even. But let's stay focused on the fact that there are other people in our inner circle that actually see us and are actually watching us grow and are acknowledging what they see in a positive way. There's also the side of building your community of people that walk through transitions with you. And when I say community, let me just say that it doesn't mean it has to be like 20 people. It actually can be one other person that can grow into 2 people and 3 people and maybe 5 people and just a small group of people, maybe 12 people. It doesn't have to be a ton of people that are close to you to navigate this. I highly recommend actually not being close with a ton of people. That's overwhelming and unnecessary. But having a close knit circle of people that maybe it's just that bestie, maybe it's a handful of people. Regardless, there are people in our circle that want to see us thrive. With that being said, whoever our community is, whoever we are vulnerable with, most vulnerable with, meaning that they actually have access to us in our seasons of transition and not transition or staying put, whatever, they have permission to simply not only listen and cheer us on, but also speak into us truth. And that truth may not be pleasant to hear all the time. I would personally rather hear painful truth from a friend, even if that means I'm fighting back in how I'm processing it because I don't want to believe it, but I also know that it's probably coming from a good space if it's a friend that I know that loves me and cares for me and wants the best for me. I'd rather hear it from that friend than from one of these people who don't really care to see me evolve, right? The people that don't want to see you evolve want to perpetuate a narrative to you that's going to keep you down and more than likely keep them feeling good about themselves because they see you as being beneath them or whatever down view they have of you. So if I know someone genuinely wants to see the best for me, if I see that there's people in my corner that want to watch me thrive, I give them permission to call me out. I give them permission to point out, hey, Candace, that's an old thought that you said you weren't going back to. And let me remind you of the truth. Or, Candace, how you were just acting, that was out of order. Or, Candace, I know you want to justify yourself in that moment, and I'm going to push back on that a little bit. This is where I think we need to shift, and here's why. And I love you. So I'm going to share this with you boldly in love because I know there's better inside of you. Like those types of commentary just both warm my heart and irritate the crap out of me. And that's a good thing because we don't want to lean into the things that tickle our ears, but we also don't want to lean into the things that continue to make us feel like we're incapable of growing, that we are incapable of thriving, that we are incapable of being a different version of ourselves today than we were yesterday. So we need people that are balanced in our lives and that want to pour into us and that we can do the same with them, that it's reciprocal. This is, I think, where people find it very difficult because sometimes we want to force this reciprocity that if I'm listening to you and I'm giving you my best, then I expect you to give you mine. I do not believe that everyone that you choose to open yourself up to is now required to open themselves back up to you. You choosing to open up yourself to someone is your choice. They have every right to decide if they're going to open themselves back up to you. Now, with that being said, I think we have to have discernment into who these people are in our inner community, in our inner circle, that we do share deep things with. If you're looking for someone who can't reciprocate, that's where I would say go to a therapist. Okay. Get a life coach. I'm a life coach. I don't have to reciprocate anything. I can share what I think is important, what's helpful, but we don't have to have this reciprocity relationship, right? But if you're looking for a friend, like someone who is for you and with you, thick and thin, I think that's a conversation that you would have with a person to see where they're at and keep up your end of the bargain. And hopefully they keep up their end of the bargain if they agree that they want to also be vulnerable with you. However, if you notice that you've made this declaration of, hey, I want to be vulnerable with you, they've said, I do too, and you start noticing that you actually are the only one being vulnerable and open and honest, and they're not reciprocating what they said, then that's probably not someone to have in your inner circle in that capacity, right? So, this is in work relationships, this is in personal relationships, whatever type of connection you have with someone, if you're being open and honest and vulnerable and you are noticing a pattern of that being one-sided, those are not the type of people that I'm talking about keeping in your inner circle. And yes, you are more than welcome to adjust who is in your inner circle. People in your community, in your innermost intimate group of people that you can lean on to go through your seasons of transition with, they're able to be replaced. I'm going to say that again. People in your inner circle are able to be replaced. I don't know where we learned that our bestie can only be someone that we met between ages 0 and college, and you're not allowed to have a best friend after that. That's new. And any friend that you lose, that position can't be replaced, or you don't make new friends post 22 years old, or whatever these crazy rules that people in society throw out. They're just stupid. I'm saying that you can encounter someone at your job, on a trip, in your church, on the beach, in a community group, at a party. You can literally come across new people every day, and you never know how that person can impact your life. You would be shocked, completely shocked. Jonelle and I, when I tell you, we are best friends, and we met at my community group, Gather LA. She just walked in one day, and I was like, I love her spirit. And she talked with me. We connected. We've been inseparable since. I didn't know I was going to connect with her that day. I didn't know I was going to connect with anybody anytime soon around that time. I was just living my life out here in LA and doing my thing. But being open, being open to the opportunities, to the possibilities, that there are people that can come into your life at any given moment and be people that God is sending your way to pour into you and you back into them, edifying each other, because iron sharpens iron, right? The opportunity to edify each other and see each other grow. I mean, how cool is that? It doesn't feel so secluded. It doesn't feel like there's all these specific rules you need to be like following and based on society and this is what they do. No. Stay open. Stay discerning, but stay open to new opportunities to build your community. And some people come for a very specific season. They're there for a very specific season of your transition. We see a lot of this in the workplace, where there are people in the workplace that just love on you and they are pouring into you professionally and they're just like your work besties. And once you leave that job, it's like you become strangers again. But that's okay. They were there for that season and you were in their life for that season as well. And now you move on to a new job. You might find new people or whatever. But there are seasonal inner circle people that are intentionally there to help you navigate that moment of your life. And then there are people that are there to overlap transition areas, transition seasons, right? They're there to bridge between a series of transitions in your life. And some people are here for a lifetime. Some people, they show up when they show up and they never leave. And they are there to see you through so many years and decades of transformation that they can go back and say, man, I remember you when you were 16. I remember when you were 32. I remember when you were 59. I remember when you were 70. And look at us, we're 86. And we've gone through so many life transitions together. We've seen each other grow. We've evolved. We were not like this when we were in our 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s. And now we're in our 80s and look at us. There are people that are meant to last a lifetime. Don't, this is hard to say. Don't be so possessive of the people in your inner circle in the season that you have them, that you don't know how to let them go when time tells you that it's time to let them go. Be open to your inner circle actually being fluid. There are actually people in your life that will, as you keep your hands open for the Lord to say, hey, this was for a season, that they actually keep staying and they're meant to stay and they're meant to stay. And even in those moments, you keep your hand open just in case they have a transition or something happens in the future. But you also hold on to them in that you're grateful for their presence. You're grateful for how you're bonding and communicating and helping each other and leaning into each other and pouring over each other and praying with each other. All those things, you hold on to the gratitude that you get with this person each time you're with them, each time you get to pour into each other. So it's both this like, hold on, but it's not to where you are unwilling to let go if a season shifts and it's time to actually release this bond. All this to say, no one is self-made. We keep saying this on this show. No one is self-made. We actually need each other. We were built and created to be with other people in a very intimate fashion. And no, I'm not speaking sexually. Sex is a part of intimacy, but it is not intimacy in and of itself. It is simply an expression of what could be intimacy. Intimacy involves a heart posture that is open and vulnerable to actually being hurt. And there are a lot of people out here having sex that have not opened their hearts at all. You can literally be butt naked with somebody and have zero intimacy. So that's not what I'm talking about. Intimacy at the heart level, at the mind level, just open yourself up to someone and say, hey, I'm entrusting myself to you in this season of my life. Hopefully they're doing the same so you can edify each other, encourage each other, correct each other, build each other up, hold each other, when we're down and help mend brokenness if the heart breaks. Being there to support and encourage and love up on one another. These people in seasons of transition are necessary beyond words. I wish I had known. I wish I had known. I wish I had known it was okay to have people in my life to be so intimately open and vulnerable with, that my life would have not been what it was. And yet, I'm grateful that I know it now, because the way that I get to lean into people like Jonelle and my friend Hillary and some other friends in my life, Kathy and Mika, I have all these friends of mine that I can lean into and just share vulnerability with. Usually when one goes first, it makes it easier for the other one to go. So maybe you need to be the brave one in transitioning a friendship into an intimate, deeper bond where you share things on your heart and things that you're struggling with and things that you're trying to overcome in a more open manner. And I'm talking about the things that we tend to say we should just leave it to a therapist because they're professional to handle it. Humans in general are built to handle it. Just because you're a professional does actually not mean you're built to handle it. It means that you have information. Having information is not equal to built to handle it, because we're human. We are human. We all come with our biases. We all come with our backgrounds. We all come with our thought processes on life. So don't assume that a degree equals able to handle it. Don't assume that a clinical knowledge means adequate to help in this scenario. Discern people. Have therapists, have psychiatrists, have life coaches, have mentors, have pastors, and have people in your life that you can walk, talk, eat, sleep, breathe with in such vulnerability that they have nothing to guess about you, and you can confidently live out this life knowing that you have someone by your side and that you're by their side. This is probably giving some of you guys anxiety. Some of you guys are probably sweating right now. Panic attacks are probably happening. And you know what? That's okay. I understand. This is very uncomfortable, especially after believing that, well, if I'm that open with someone, they won't like me. Or if I'm that open with someone, they will know too much and they're going to share all my business. Well, that's a risk a lot of us have to take. But it's better that we try to open up ourselves to someone than it is to stay closed off in a way to protect ourselves. And in reality, we're blocking our blooming seasons from happening. We're blocking the opportunities to blossom in these transition seasons and to see who we're actually meant to become. So those of you that have been adamant that you're going to do life alone because you've been hurt before or you don't trust anybody and you're just fine by yourself, I ask that you reassess. Reassess yourself. Reassess how you're genuinely feeling about being alone and like you got this all together, you can handle it all. I would really do a self-check on that, because that may not actually be true. Actually, I'm going to bet that is not true at all. I'm going to bet that you're running off of fear. Fear of being hurt again. And intimacy has the possibility of being hurt embedded in its nature. That's the whole point of being vulnerable and intimate. The risk of being hurt has to be involved. And because we don't want to be hurt, we think it's better to close off and just think whatever thoughts we're thinking bouncing around in our head and watching whatever content we feel like tickles our ears, what we want to hear. We got to get out of that. We need actual feedback, and not just from professionals. Professionals are great. Again, I'm a life coach. I love life coaching. I think it's great, but I can't be your main source of intimacy. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. Oh my word. Please do not let the professionals in your life be the people that you're most vulnerable with. That's horrible. That's actually a problem. They can help you. They shouldn't be your most intimate, vulnerable contact. That's not good for you. That's not good for you at all. Prayerfully look for people. Ask God to send them to you. I prayed for a big sister. Actually, I prayed for a little sister for the longest time. And then the Lord sent me a big sister in John L. I actually need her. Like, when I tell you I need her, I need her. As I need Hillary. I need Jamaica. I need Kathy. I need my gatherers from my community group, Gather LA. I need them. Like, I need them. I need them to survive. I need them to thrive. I need them in my life to become the best version of myself. Because when I was doing it by myself, it was like going through cement. And there's something about having amazing people in my life that actually want to see me. They want to see me evolve. They want to see me blossom. Them being in my life, being able to speak into my life, and knowing that they're praying for me. And it's a level of peace that I did not know I was allowed to have. And this is why I'm encouraging you. Find your people. Be open to the possibility of being hurt. I know you were hurt before. I'm so sorry for any kind of betrayal that happened to you in the past that is now making you want to shut down from everybody. But I'm going to tell you, as someone who was abused in every possible way you could think of in the past, abuse from one or even from a group of people does not equal that that's going to come to you from every single person after that. That's what it feels like in your body. That's what it feels like in your emotional and mental system. But that is not the truth. That is not the truth. There are people out here that love you, that want to love you, that are prepared to pour into you and see you be an amazing human being, healed and whole and thriving in all that you were created to be. I did not think that that was available to me. And the Lord has been sending them left and right. And I am pleased. I am grateful. And now I don't know I don't know how I survived life without that level of intimacy. So I encourage you, find your people. And if you've been looking and you feel like you can't find them, pray about it. Pray about it. God has a funny way of showing up in our lives with people, sending them our way in the most random ways, in the most unexpected seasons. And it's beautiful when it happens. Be patient with the process. Don't go just grabbing people left and right saying, we need to be best friends. We need to meet each other's in a circle. You got to build rapport with people. Some people you will click like that. Jonelle and I, like, one conversation and we were, sold. But that doesn't happen all the time. And it hasn't happened with me all the time with other people. that are also in my inner circle. Some people, it took time for us to be in each other's inner circle. So you just never know. But be patient with yourself, be patient with other people, and look for that community. Embrace it as it comes, even if it's for a season or for a lifetime. If you're looking for a community, look for people in the comment section of this pod or on my socials. Trying to build a community here. And so I don't want you to think that there aren't people here that are also trying to figure out life and build and grow and learn. Take the opportunity. But I also pray that you find people that are actually in your physical space. There's something about having people that can hug you and touch you and hold your hand. Makes a world of difference if that's available to you. So that's all I have to say. I hope you find community soon, and I will definitely be praying for you. If that is something you've actually been looking for and you feel like you've been struggling to do, I'm also going to be praying if you have been hesitant to open up your heart for that level of vulnerability and you just feel like you need to be mustering through things alone. I'm praying that your heart softens and that you are open to being healed from who hurts you and being open to people who actually don't want to. That's it for today's episode. If you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or even people that you want on the show, let me know in the description box below or in the comments section. Post on my socials if you see clips here. And I would just love to hear from you guys. And of course, again, if you want to bless me for my birthday, check the show notes for my birthday link. I would just love to get messages and gifts from all of you. Until next time, take care, stay safe, God bless, and besitos. We'll talk soon. Bye.